Barakatah YAHAWAH, BaHa YAHAWASHI, BaHa RAWCHAA QADASH. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is simply, Hey Vocab. Can I get a soul clap? I know I can't, because you know you ain't got no soul, my man. But anyways, Salakia, you know the doves, you know how the doves do. But I did a video. Spirit had me do a video yesterday called "The Truth Came Out of One West," which was a title that I got from Elder Apostle Tahar. It was a layup through the Spirit and power of YAHAWAH, YAHAWASHI, RAWCHAA QADASH, where I wanted to do a sit down, but I wasn't able to because the guy was cutting, using the, the lawnmower stuff to cut grass, so I wasn't able to do the sit down. So the Spirit just told me just to go walking. So I just went did the walk and talk, and lo and behold, towards the end of the lesson, I didn't know because I wasn't reading the comments, because I couldn't really read the comments because I was walking, had my phone in my other hand, so I wasn't able to really see the comments. And lo and behold, I got a message from a brother, sent me a message that Vocab was on. He was on the live, and he sent me a photo, a still shot of his message, and this is the message right here. Vocab Malone, right here, street apologist. What year did the chart come into existence? And I didn't see that because, like I said, I was walking. I wasn't sure. I couldn't really read the comments. Just bear with me 1 second. And afterwards, when I saw the message, I like I said, I didn't see it, otherwise I would have said something. And pretty much what happened was, he asked a question. Let's read it again. Salakia, I got other thoughts going through my head. It says, what year did the chart come into existence? Now he's speaking about the chart that we have, dealing with High Priest Ariah, Elder Abba Bibbins, and he even put in his page Bivins instead of Bibbins. So whatever. Anyways, I don't know if that was prior to him finding out, the double B was, his name was, but that it's neither here nor there. And I have a feeling when he asked the question, that he was asking a question based off of that, of the One West 12 tribes chart, and how there's another chart that they have out there, these Edomites have, that predates the one from High Priest Ariah. So he's trying to correlate it, he's trying to make it make sense physically on the earth. In other words, he's trying to chronologically put everything in a genealogical line that it traces all the way back to the 12 tribes of Israel, and that's not going to happen. Before we get into it, the scriptures in Romans, the 8th chapter, says it beautifully, but you have to have a spiritual mind to even understand what this is saying. It says, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. So what does that mean? And how does it apply? Well, the Spirit is what? The Word. The Word. All right, let's go to St. John 6 and 63. It says, it is the Spirit that quickeneth, meaning the Spirit or this truth is what wakens us up, because we were in a dead state. We fled away, or were led away from the way of truth, so we remained in the congregation of the dead. It says the flesh profiteth nothing. Yeah, because this flesh is corrupt. The words that I speak unto you, They are spirit and they are life. And they testify. These words testify. And they give credence. And they give evidence to who the Israelites are. This is why it says that in these days, right now, where we're at, presently, August 27th, 2023, the hopeful year that all the prophecies of Yahawah Bashem are fulfilled. It's testifying of who the Israelites are today. And no better witness to what we teach than the scriptures. Baruch 5:5. Arise, O Jerusalem, and stand on high, and look about toward the east, and behold thy children gathered from the west unto the east. Those people over there are where? In the east. And later they came to the west. So it says, thy children gathered from the west unto the east. How? By the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the remembrance of the Most High, because we would fall away. And that's why we would rejoice in the remembrance of the Most High. So we were gathered from the west, which we're here in the Western Hemisphere. The truth that's taught right now worldwide of the Hebrew Israelites is it came out of one west, 125th Street. Beginning with Elder Abba Bibbins, or Bivens, however you want to say it, and High Priest Ariah, King Masha, High Priest Ariah, and High Priest Yaikwab. Facts, all right? It said, to quote Dr. Umar Johnson, see, we give credit over here. We don't plagiarize, you know. We give credit. By the word of the Holy One. So this is how we're being gathered, rejoicing in the remembrance of the Most High. Why? Because we're a downtrodden people. Seems like we have no hope. Seems like every time, you know, something bad happens, everyone else out in the world gets, you know, repairs, gets help, gets justice, but we don't. Beginning with the so-called Negroes on down. So-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians. Everyone else in the world, all other nations get their just due. They get justice, but we don't. It makes you wonder why. Why is that? Well, it's because we're the Israelites and we're under curses. All right. So going back, St. John 6:63, it says, it is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Therefore, if they are the spirit, they are the life. They are the life-giving force that gives us the life that because we were in the congregation of the dead, so it resurrected us or resurrected us back from the dead, from that dead state, that Revelation 11:8 dead state. So Romans 8:16, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. Now, when you deal with the 12 tribe sign of these Edomites, which we're going to get into, you know, in this thing that Vocab put up. Like I said, you know, thoughts were going through my mind yesterday. I wanted to go live yesterday, but I'm glad I didn't, because, you know, it allowed me to marinate. Spirit to marinate on this, and I wasn't going to bring out this thing that Vocab brought out that our brothers already went through, but you know, it gave me the ability to, you know, put something together instead of just answering on the fly, you know, which sometimes you do that. A man can receive nothing except to be given to him from heaven. YAHAWASHI also said, I will give you a mouth with wisdom that none of your adversaries will be able to gainsay nor resist, you know. So with that being said, he's asking for the origins. He said, what year did the chart come into existence? Well, the chart that we have at One West, it came into existence, as he even put it, it had to be 60s, 70s, because by the time Elder Apostle Tahar came in, which was 1985, the chart was already there. In the same position, in the same place that it was at, you know, unless they moved it, but it was in the school at One West, you know, on the wall. I remember in January of 93, when I first went to the school, it was right there. All right. So The other sign that these Edomites have came out in the, I believe it was 1850, and they have all these Edomite nations listed on there as being the 12 tribes. Britain, I believe, is supposed to be Judah, so on and so forth, which we'll get into it. That one goes back to about 1850 or so. Some sources give different variation, but the actual origins of the 12 tribe sign goes back way further than that. And it goes back to roughly between 592 to 570 BC. When we go back into the book of Ezekiel 37, that's when the 12 tribe sign first was spoken of. But it wasn't fulfilled until all the way up until today, around 1969, 1970, and around whatever year the Spirit hopped on Elder High Priest AHRAYAMLAB to bring it out, to write it all down, because as it was told to us, which we believe, that he was at home. I believe it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, if I'm not mistaken. The Spirit got on him to go around the corner, because he used to live right around the corner from the school. Not even a stone throws away. You were the very first building around the corner was where they lived. So not even 50 steps, to get to the school. And he went there, and the Spirit told him Judah, so-called Negroes, Benjamin, all the way on down to Issachar. He wrote it all down, and then eventually did, the research and got the scriptures, the main 2 precepts, others also, the main 2 precepts, Genesis 49, Deuteronomy 33, were the characteristics of the nation of Israel and what they would be doing in the last days. Pretty much. And that's that. Coupled with the curses of Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26 is a cemented deal of who the Israelites are. And no other nation has gone through that. Daniel, the 9th chapter, brings that out. And there's no other nation on the planet that have suffered like the nation of Israel has suffered. All right? So before we read this, let's go to this chart. So the origins of the chart goes back to between 592 to 570 BC. For me to get a little more accurate than that, I would actually have to go to the Red Bible to see what exact date they gave for Ezekiel 37, but we know it was within that period while we were in captivity under the Babylonians. All right? So, this is, thoughts. It says thoughts and questions. Let's see. Well, that's 7. All right. Thought-provoking questions to dismantle the 12 tribes chart, which this is something that was put together, I believe, by Vocab himself. And I'm pretty sure that there were other people that had a hand in putting this together, because he's not that smart. And you have a lot of Jakes out there that give these devils questions. And it's really Jake that's trying to dismantle this truth, that join with these devils to try to dismantle the truth, and the Most High is going to get every last one of them. So this is High Priest AHRAYAMLAB here. This is the brother, what was his brother's name? YAHAWAH. I believe it was YAHAWAH. You have YAHAWAH, no, or YAHAWAH. YAHAWAH or YAHAWAH, either one of the two. All right? Because you had the other YAHAWAH, which was the individual that looked like an East Indian, but he was a Jake. This High Priest AHRAYAMLAB is the inventor of the 12 tribes chart through the Spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, most likely in the 70s as of 2023. Yeah, because they don't know. AHRAYAMLAB, then they give his government name, is around 83 years old. So it says number 7, who first brought out the chart? AHRAYAMLAB, Abba Bivens, see he put Bivens here, or someone else? How do you know this? If you don't even know the origin of the chart, then how do you know it's true? Well, through the Spirit. We just read that the Spirit beareth witness with our spirit that we are the sons of the living power. And a man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven. When Yahawashi asked the apostles who he was, and Peter said, thou art the anointed, the Son of the Most High, How did he get that? Did he get that from evidence from a book? Did he get that from evidence that, somebody, presented to him? This is the book of the generation going all the way back to the beginning. And this man that will come later on, his name would be YAHAWASHI. He would gather the 12 apostles, and that would be the Messiah, the anointed of the Lord. No. YAHAWASHI said it best, blessed are you, Peter, Simon Bar-Jonah, or something along those lines, for flesh and blood have not revealed this unto you, but my Father which is in heaven. So there are things that are revealed in the spirit, and those that can get it will receive it, and those that can't will not, because at the end of the day, this is spiritually discerned. And Vocab Malone is not spiritually discerned because he is an Edomite. He won't get it. So it goes on to say, you can't check to see if the source is reliable. Yeah, you can't, because it's based off of what? Faith. Let's go real quick to Romans chapter 8. Like Elder Pastor says all the time, you Christians are easy work. Romans 8:24, for we are saved by hope. But hope that is what? Seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for? So hope is what? Also faith. Faith is not seen. But faith, let's go real quick to the book of Hebrews. The definition of faith in the scriptures, 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. See? So faith is our substance. Faith is our evidence. Faith is acquired by the Most High as a gift of the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and it is found within the pages of the book, the Bible. So now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, right? Now when we go to St. John, chapter 21, I believe it is. And all right, so it's got to be 20. So let me try 20. I want to go straight to the point. 27. Then saith he to Thomas, reach hither thy finger, because Thomas wasn't there when you appeared to the disciples, and he didn't believe that the Messiah had risen unless he physically saw him and touched him. And behold my hands, and reach hither thy hand, and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, my Lord and my power. Yahawashi saith unto him, Thomas, because thou hast seen me, thou hast believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed. You see? So faith is that substance, that evidence. And that's how we believe that the 12 tribes chart is true. Coupled with the scriptures that give, the evidence. If your eyes are open, if your eyes are spiritually open, if you're spiritually discerned, if you're not a natural man, to see who the Israelites are. So going back here, who drafted the first copy of the chart? Well, that was High Priest Ariyah. From what we understand. Now, I outside of, that testimony, I don't know all of the other particulars, but I do know out of the elder Abba Bivens' mouth himself that he knew that the Negroes, the so-called, Puerto Ricans and the so-called North American Indians were Israelites, because he said it in a speech that Elder Pastor put up years ago. He had a cassette tape which he transferred. He said he caught hell just doing those 3 parts. He wanted to put up more, but it was so hard at the time. He was only able to put up 3 parts because Satan was fighting him the whole way to put that up. But we do have 3 beautiful, videos of his speech from back then. And he mentioned the so-called Negroes, the so-called Puerto Ricans, and the so-called North American Indians. So we know that he did know, but I believe he didn't know all the particular tribes that each one of them belonged to. That was given to High Priest Ariyah. Now, what you do with that information is up to you. You either believe it or you don't. I mean, who drafted the first copy of the chart? Where is the first draft? Does anyone possess the original? Yeah, Yahawah Bashem YAHAWASHI. That's who possesses the original. And when you go back in history, you have Ezekiel 37, 15 down, which is the blueprint for the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And it would be in these last days, because from the first verse down, it speaks about the dry bones in the valley. And those dry bones in the valley represented the whole nation of Israel. As we read here in the 10th verse, I'm sorry, not the 10th verse. What verse was that? All right, 11. Yeah, it is 11. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the what? The whole house of Israel. So what made them bones? What made them bone? Because bones is what? Bones is dead. There was no flesh on them. There were bones. So bones represent death. So when we read Proverbs 21 and 16, it says, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding, because understanding is life, shall remain in the what? Congregation of the dead. Is he going to be physically dead? No, he's going to be spiritually dead. This is why in Revelation 11, and this is not bibliolatry because this is not literal. 11 and 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. Their dead bodies how? Spiritually dead, without breath in them. The breath is what? This knowledge. The truth, when the truth was in a mystery form, it was breathless. In other words, we couldn't receive the breath because it was still in the mystery form. When the Lord took Adam and set him up right, and blew into his nostril the breath of life, he became a living soul. He became living. Was he living prior to that? Yes. But he wasn't understanding. He didn't have the understanding that was given to him after the Lord blew the breath of life into him. When we go to the disciples, when Yahawashi, after he rose from the dead, let's see. Let me see if it comes up like that. Nope. There's a scripture in St. John. I think it's St. John or Luke. If any brother know where it's at. I'm trying to remember how it was. I think when Yahawashi breathed into the apostles, the breath. I know. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah. There it goes. Barakateh Halbashim Shai. St. John chapter 20. Matter of fact, let me get it over here. And 19. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm just going to jump down to the 21st verse. Then said Yahawashi to them, Peace be unto you. As my Father hath sent me, even so send I you. And when he had said this, he breathed on them and said unto them, Receive ye the Holy Spirit. Whosoever sins you remit, they are remitted unto them. And whosoever sins you retain, they are retained. So in other words, they were made alive. They were brought to life. They were living already, but they didn't have the understanding. This is why Yahawashi will curse them. Are you without understanding also? Do ye not understand? And they didn't. Why? Because the book was a mystery, going all the way back to Daniel chapter 12 and verse 4. Behold, but Slakia, me calm it down, calma la carnal. But the inside joke. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words. What did it mean to shut up? Meaning to seal them, and seal the book, even to the time of the end. So when Yahawashi came 2,000 years ago, that began the last days. And when the last days began back then, Yahawashi, after he was crucified, that's when he opened up the seals of the book. But only the elect would be able to receive it, and the rest were blinded. So those that received it back then were those that received it at the beginning of the world, before the world began, and those are the same ones that are receiving it now. You had blowback back then, you're going to have blowback now. The majority of people back then didn't believe, only a handful believe now. And the rest of the ones that didn't believe, they were all about tearing down that stronghold of faith of YAHAWASHI, and just can't do it. All right. So let's see what else we got. And you know, we could go to Revelation 5, where it speaks about Yahawashi opening the seals of the book. So going back here, it says, or even a picture. See, so he's going on the carnal route, because a natural man receiveth not the things of the spirit. This chart came about in 60s or 70s, which I agree with that. So an extant autograph, the first rendition, is not a big ask. Yeah. And the thing about it is, there is none. We already told you where the origins came from. High Priest Ariah, the Spirit gave it to him. If you can't receive that, you ain't going to get it. You know? You make it seem that we're angry with Vocab and these other individuals because they can't see it. You know what we say? You can't see it? Good, you can't see it. You know why? Because it makes it that much more precious. Is the chart without error? Yes, it is. And then he goes into GOCC, how they put Polynesians to Naphtali. Look, first of all, GOCC is a bugged out group led by a bugged out maniac, the crooner of Israel, outside of, you know, my man. Y'all brothers know who I'm talking about, my man, all right? The latest sixth member of New Edition. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Here. Or is GOCC an error? So they altered the sign, because that dude, the crooner of Israel, is bugged out. So we're not even going to deal with that. So the chart is without error from the one that the Spirit of the Lord gave to High Priest Ariah. Okay? Now you see the 12 tribes sign here. Now I'm not sure what year this was, because the order is a little... Oh, this is... Oh, matter of fact, this is the one that they're talking about. This is the one dealing with Hawaiians and Samoans or Naphtali, which they're not. But now, do you have Israelites among the Hawaiians and Samoans? Yes. You have a lot of Israelites in those islands. You have a lot of Israelites among the Polynesians. You know, because Israel was scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and the Lord will come and gather them from all. I knew somebody was going to say it. You know? So you do have Israelites among them, and there's a whole history behind that, you know. And I say one of the experts in that is the brother Gabar YAHAWAH, because he goes into that history from time to time. You know, we've done, you know, lessons on it. All right. Then he goes into our Australians, the Aboriginals of the chart. No, they're not, but you have Israelites among them. Our Eskimos, yes, Eskimos are a part of, some of them are Israelites, you know, if not all of them, you know. Our Hawaiians, some of them are Israelites. A lot of those Hawaiians that you see, a lot of them have Spanish names. The ones that have Spanish names are more than likely Ephraimites. All right. Yeah, laugh aloud, brother. Don't even mention that ninja name before he pops up again. Yeah, don't give him no more wings, Babakusha. All right, let's jump down. Have you seen the Anglo-Israelite 12 tribes chart? Yes, we've seen that before. Is it wrong? Yes, it is. But it's not completely wrong, and I'll tell you why. When you see the chart here, I'm not sure if you can see that or not. Matter of fact, let me make it bigger. Let me see where we're at. All right, right there. Bam, you didn't see that one coming. Okay, we can't really make it that big. Ephraim, Britain. Okay, so Ephraim's supposed to be Britain. Manasseh is USA. Reuben is France. Which the ones that were here, in USA were the so-called North American Indians. Reuben, France. Simeon scattered Wales, Erie. Levi scattered with the Jews. Yehuda, Jews of Judah. Issachar, Swiss and Finns. Notice they don't give you who they are. Swiss and Finns. Zebulun, Netherlands. Gad, Sweden. Asher, Ireland. Benjamin, Balgi, Jews. Dan, Danes and Celts. Naphtali, Norwegians. And you know what I say to this? You have Israelites among all of those people because Israel was scattered. So it's not entirely wrong, but it's wrong in the sense of these are not the people of the Lord, the original so-called Europeans. You Edomites are calling yourself Europeans. That's not the original sign, but you do have Israelites among all of these people here. So it's not entirely wrong, although it's not correct. And this goes back to about 1850, if I'm not mistaken. How do you know? Are you aware that all the evidence indicates the Anglo-Israelite tribes chart is older than the One West version? Yes, it is. And I knew that this is where he was going with it because the Spirit alerted me at the moment. You know? It says, are you aware of... Additional evidence indicates that AHRAYAMLAB, the supposed inventor of the chart, no, he is the inventor of the chart, through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI, borrowed some Anglo-Israelite arguments and flipped them around. No, he did not. He did not borrow any of those arguments because at the end of the day, it's in the scriptures. Now, you do have a group of Edomites, some of them might be Jakes, that say the same thing that we say, but they say it, they flip it around to put it on the so-called white man. So like it for a minute. All right. But what they're saying is the same thing that we're saying, but they're saying that the Edomites, those so-called white-looking people are the Israelites, you know, and some of them are, but a lot of them are not. Doesn't the scripture tell you not to copy the oppressor's ways? See, now you know, so you see how the devil works, you know, see how the devil works. The Toronto-based Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries made this exact point multiple times in their video on the chart, the Folly of the 12 Tribes chart, published on July 3, 2022. And they, you know, you got to copy the chart. Do you know in the Bible many Israelites were no longer able to trace their clan lineage back after a 70-year exile in Babylon? Yeah. You know, this is why we had to wait for the Spirit. Let's go real quick to this in Timothy. I believe it's, no, you know what? I think it's 1 Timothy 1 and 4. See, this is easy work. 1 Timothy 1 and 4. Neither give heed to fables and what? Endless genealogies. Which do what? Which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. So do. But Vocab don't know the scriptures, and Vocab doesn't deal with the scriptures. The only scriptures he'll deal with are the twisting and turning that he does, the cherry picking that he does. 1 Thessalonians 4 and 10, and indeed ye do it toward all the brethren which are in all Macedonia, but we beseech you, brethren, that you increase more and more. Yeah. And that's what we're supposed to do, increase. So it says, neither give heed to fables and what? Endless genealogies. Why? Which minister questions rather than godly edifying. Which is in faith, or that which is in faith, so do. And don't worry about, oh, I can't trace my line back to Judah, or I can't trace my line back to Issachar, so how do I know I'm an Israelite? Through the Spirit, home nugget. You know? And this is what these devils want. They want you to be able to prove. Now, these devils that call themselves, you know, the liquor hats, they can't prove that their line goes back to any of the tribes. But then, you know, Dr. Quas Brown's talking about, yeah, well, you know, there's DNA evidence that, you know, we can trace our line back to 1st century AD, Israel Jews in such and such a land, whatever land that was. Yeah, but you had a lot of Edomites back then that were forcibly converted, going back to around 200 or 100 some odd BC under John Hyrcanus I. You had the Herodian dynasty, which were Edomites calling themselves Jews. Now, do those first century so-called Jews have their DNA or test or genealogy that brings them all the way back to the 12 tribes, that brings them back to Abraham, that brings them back to Isaac, that brings them back to Jacob? Do you have the bones and the DNA of King David and King Solomon, you know, and all of those great kings and great men and prophets, where you can test the DNA to see if the people today that call themselves, you know, them lickle hats, if they go all the way back to those people? No, you don't. So your argument is not flawless, and your argument is bullshit, bottom line. Now, when you go into the spirit, the spiritual thing, the spiritual man, spiritual discernment, everything points to us as being the Israelites and not you. Okay? Let's see what else we can glean off of this madness. So how is it that you, living in the 21st century, are able to trace your exact tribal lineage? It's all by faith. I could be Benjamin. I could be, you know, Issachar. I could be, you know, one of the other tribes. I don't know which tribe I am. It just so happens to be Ephraim, because that's what the Lord, you know, through the Spirit told High Priest Ariah. That, you know, the Puerto Rico, or the so-called are the tribe of Ephraim, you know, Cuba, or the Manasseh, you know, and I believe that through the Spirit. You know, now if it happens that I'm Benjamin or Issachar or Naphtali or Asher, it doesn't matter. This is just, you know, the 12 tribes chart is just a, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even, there's a word for it, but it's just a, what's the word I'm looking for? An example, so to speak, as to who we are. But we don't know for sure if we're tribe of Judah, tribe of Ephraim, tribe of Benjamin, or whatever. But we know that we're Israelites based off of the Spirit of the Lord. The Spirit beareth witness with our spirit that we are the sons of the living power. And how is the Lord gathering the 12 tribes of Israel today? By the word, not by genealogy. The water, brother, rough draft. By the word, not by genealogy. Okay? Not by genealogy. Not by genealogy, which does what? Ministers questions rather than godly edifying. This claim is not based on records in Hebrew, but upon a 20th century chart written in English. Do you think Nehemiah would have accepted that as proper evidence? No. Nehemiah, as they did, him, Ezra, and the others, when certain people would come up and they couldn't bring their evidence of their tribe, guess what? They had to be put aside until a prophet could rise up and say if they were Israelites or not. You know? Because back then they kept a pristine record of genealogies. But eventually that genealogy would be lost. This is why when you go back during the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, or Antiochus Epiphanes, if you want to get more, you know, technical. You know, we say Antiochus, you know, we don't, you know, we're not super polished, all right? And neither are we attempting to be. It says here in 2 Maccabees 6:6, neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, should be feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So if they couldn't profess himself to be a Jew, what would they have to call themselves? Greeks. So eventually that line of Israelites that were from whatever tribe they were from lost their way and were calling themselves Greeks. So it's impossible from one generation to the next generation, from that point when they were, you know, converted to being Greeks, all the way to the time when the Lord came back, for them to be able to trace their genealogy back, because they weren't calling themselves by their respective tribe. They were calling themselves Greeks. So this is why the Apostle Paul, in all the wisdom given to him by the Lord YAHAWASHI, said, do not give heed to endless genealogies which minister questions rather than godly edifying. You were called by the Spirit. You were called through faith. You are Israelites through faith. You are the saints through faith. You believe because the Lord drew you. He gave you that gift. He drew you in by the word. By the word. So don't worry about that other stuff that them other people are talking about, because that was the same argument that them wicked Pharisees and Sadducees and some of the righteous ones too were posing. Look, if you can't, prove your genealogy, you're not an Israelite. And they were giving them a hard way to go. And then the ones that they did accept, they were trying to put a yoke upon them to keep all the laws. There's a whole dynamic, a whole history that goes along with that, And at the end of the day, you either get it or you don't. And this is why these devils, push the madness that they push, because they know that most people today, especially Jake, don't know that history of the Greeks and how Jake was scattered, how they had to be called Greeks, and how by the time the New Testament was being compiled, they were referred to as Gentiles or heathens, because that's what the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Jews in Jerusalem were calling them. They were saying that they were no longer of that line. That's what they were. That's why I said, what will he do? Will he go to the dispersed among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? So will he go among those and teach them, those Israelites? And this is a perfect scripture right here. Hosea 8:8, Israel is swallowed up. Right, we became swallowed up. Of what? Of the nations. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. Right, because we were called Israelites, royalty. Then we went from that to what? To peasants, heathen, uncircumcised, strangers, foreigners, Greeks. You see? Let's see what we got here. All right, so let's move on. So going to Ezekiel 37 and 15, it says what? Reunion of Judah and Israel. Why? Because from the time after King Solomon, there was a split in the nation. Rehoboam, which was the king of Judah, Solomon's son, who, by the way, his mother was an Ammonite. For you mamzer chasing devils out there, he wasn't a mamzer, he was an Israelite, because his father was an Israelite. When the kingdom became split, and then Jeroboam took over the northern kingdom, there was no union back together ever. The only thing that you had was a few Israelites that came back together with Judah, but the majority of the 10 tribes did not join back together with Judah, with the kingdom of Judah. So there had to be a revival or a reunion. That reunion never took place in history, because the ones that went back, the few tribes that went back, they were there with them, but there was never a formal reunion of all 12 tribes. The Lord said he would build up the tabernacles of David, which are fallen, and will raise his ruins up as in the days of old. That never happened. That didn't happen until this time. Let's go real quick to Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10. It says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as a what? Sand of the sea, because they would be scattered. That was a blessing that the Lord gave Abraham, meaning they would be innumerous, which cannot be measured nor numbered, and you cannot number Israel. And even if you could, but you can't, you have so many Israelites that look like the other nations, it would be impossible to track them all and number them all. But the Most High know, though, because he said, known for unto the Lord are all things from the beginning of the creation. And he said, Ephraim is not hid from me. And it shall come to pass, meaning what? In the future, when the Lord will seek for his people, that in the place, what place? Here in America, because this is where the truth started. The truth started at 1 West, Harlem, New York. All right? America. and it's scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And it's picking up more and more steam as each day goes by. That whole British Israelism is losing steam because that's not the truth. Although you have Israelites among all of those people that were mentioned on the sign. It says, where it was said unto them, you are not my people. Here you niggers, spooks, spics, wetbacks, black, African American, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Mexican, North American Indian, Seminole Indian, Argentinian, Chilean, Brazilian, Surinamians, or however you say that, West Indian. There, meaning here in America, it shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the living power. It will be said unto them, not they're going to prove to them by charts, by genealogies. It was said unto them by who? By the prophets. You are the sons of the living power. All right? That's how it would come to pass. By the spoken word of the Lord Yahweh Bashem YAHAWASHI. This is why he said, let's go real quick to, see, hopefully I can remember, Barakatah Yahweh Bashem YAHAWASHI. Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 15. It says, and I, meaning the Most High, will give you pastors according to mine heart, meaning according to the heart, the mind, the understanding, the words in this book of Yahweh Bashem YAHAWASHI, which shall what? Feed you with knowledge and understanding. And we're seeing that right now. The reunion of the nation of Israel coming back together. Those that were said unto them, you are not my people. There shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the living power, because the nations came together to remove that understanding and that knowledge of the 12 tribes out of our minds, so that we wouldn't be called Israelites. This is why today you will mention to Jake out there that you're an Israelite. I ain't no damn Jew, man. I ain't, because they're lost in the sauce. They have become such a proverb and a byword that they bought that. I had a dude years ago get mad at me because I told him he wasn't black. But you know what? In hindsight, he was black. Blacked in the mind. So Ezekiel 37 and 15, these are the origins of the 12 tribes sign vocab, which dates to roughly about from 592 to about 570 BC. Like I said, to get a more accurate date, I would have to go to the Red Bible to give you a circa, more clear, more around the exact time. But nevertheless, it was around this time during the Babylonian Empire. The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick, one plank, and write upon it for what? For Judah. This is why the plank starts with off with Judah. Well, when you go into the Old Testament, and you go to the New Testament, the 12 tribes chart, it doesn't add up. It's not in the same list as it was, because it was based off of how their mothers gave birth to them. That was the chronology of it. Has nothing to do with that, home nugget. Scripture say, Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. What does that mean? They mean they will be at top. They will be at the top. They are the head tribe. The Lord will save the tents of Judah first. Why? Because Judah is the head tribe. This is why it was stripped from Reuben. This is why it was stripped from Ephraim and given to who? Given to who? To Judah. Let's see if that comes up in... All of these are weak arguments, but you know what? They are arguments that those jakes out there that are learning, if they're not grounded, it will snatch them up. It would remove them, shake them out of their shake it out of their mind, because that's the parable of the sower seed. And those individuals that are not to be delivered, they'll hear it, but then it'll be snatched out of their mind by Satan. 1 Chronicles 5:1, now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, for he was the firstborn. But for as much as he defiled his father's bed, his birthright was given unto the sons of Joseph, namely Ephraim, the son of Israel. And the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright. For Judah prevailed above his brethren. Judah, that's why Judah is the first. This is why you see the 12 tribes chart. You see Judah at the head of the 12 tribes chart. You got that, you fat head snake? And of him came the chief ruler, which is YAHAWASHI, but the birthright was Joseph's. First it belonged to Reuben, then it went to Ephraim, but ultimately it went to who? To Judah, because Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. It's very easy. All right? So it says, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah, which is the so-called Negroes, the real Jews, and for the children of Israel, his companions, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, because when you go back to the history and the split, Jeroboam kicked out all the Levites because he set up the basis of the tribes, to be priests. He didn't want nothing to do with the southern kingdom. And all of the Levites were kicked out. That's why they ended up all with Judah and Benjamin. So take another stick, another plank, and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, because the name Joseph is synonymous with the name Ephraim. They're interchangeable back and forth. That's why, sometimes it'll say Ephraim, sometimes it'll say Joseph. Salakia. All right. And for all the house of Israel, his companions. So these two planks, one for the southern kingdom, one for the northern kingdom, and join them what? One to another into one stick, into one plank. This is why you have the 12 tribes chart. So this is the origins of the 12 tribes chart, going all the way back to roughly 592 to 570 BC. So what is the origins? What year did the chart come into existence? Well, it was spoken of, prophesied about between 570 to 592 BC, and it didn't come into existence till way later. All right? Which we have what? The 12 tribes chart, which was given to us through the Spirit by High Priest AHRAYAMLAB. Just bear with me 1 second. Let me see if I could pull it up right quick like. No, that's gonna be too small. It's gonna be too small. Too small. Just want to pull it up real quick. Yeah, it's not going to allow me to. I wanted to get the one that, GMS set up. Because you have others, but nevertheless, you get the idea. You get the picture. Let me try this one. Yeah, all of these are small for some reason. Yeah. They're small and they're chopped off. So you've seen the 12 tribe sign before. All right. I hate when that happens, but hey, that's all right. So it says, Ezekiel 37:17, and join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thy hand. And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these? So where are these little hats? And people are asking with a 12 tribe sign, with all the 12 tribes, because they still haven't identified who the 12 tribes are, out there speaking on the streets, and the other Israelites asking them, what do you mean by this sign? What does this mean? Where they at? Show and prove. You asking about some genealogy, how can you trace this back, and what are the origins of that sign? Where are these small hats out there teaching on the streets with a 12 tribe sign and having other small hats asking them, what do you mean by this sign? Where is it? You like to ask questions, but you don't like to answer questions, you damn devil. One of these, I've been asking this question for the last 5 years. One of these somewhere around here. I've been asking this question right here. I've been asking this question for 5 years now. Well, how many years have brothers been asking you questions and you never answer? We've broken this down. Brothers broken this down. Brothers answered all of your questions. You just don't like the answers. You see? But you never answer any questions. Because you devils, you on that white supremacist high horse. Here, pun intended. So where is it? Why haven't you answered any questions that we pose to you? So verse 19, say unto them, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim. So it's Ephraim and Joseph, synonymous. This is why in Revelation, the 7th chapter, it says Ephraim. It says Joseph instead of Ephraim. And the tribes of Israel, his fellows, 10 tribes, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in what? Mine hand. So what is the origins of the 12 tribe sign? Well, guess what? YAHAWAH, BaHa YAHAWASHI, is the origins of that sign. He gave it to Ezekiel. Ezekiel wrote about it, and it didn't come into existence till all the way up until now. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. So where them little hats at with their 12 tribe sign? Where they at? We're waiting. We are waiting. And guess what? It is never going to come because they are not the people of the Most High. Evidence is overwhelming. It's overwhelming on the southern kingdom. It's overwhelming on the northern kingdom. And Lord's will, if I find the right information, I might do that because Apostle Tar did it. Other brothers have done it. We've all done it. Going into the different, proofs and history where they say and show you evidence who the Israelites are. But you devils try to dismiss that, and then when you do the research, this is a hoax, this is a lie, no. It just doesn't fit your narrative. So you dismiss it like you do everything else. Remember, the French philosopher Voltaire said, that history is the lie commonly agreed upon. And if you're in power, you're not going to say that somebody else is superior to you. You're going to play the superior role or act it out anyway. But the world is finding out. You've been exposed. And it's all coming out. So, hey, Vocab, can I get a soul clap? I know I can't because you ain't got no soul. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.